It's so exciting to start to see a trickle. I'm just getting a trickle at this time of those who have been paying attention to what I've been trying to bring forward. Some of the downloads that I receive from love to share with others, and I'm so happy to see the results. I have a few different people in my life that are very excited to get involved, and currently, two of them have already started. They've already opened their account in a trading platform. This is kind of a sharing of an experience in my life of taking the downloads from love to try and show how to become sovereign in a banking system. I am not an expert. This is a learning experience that I'm sharing because I was told to, and so I wanted to kind of do a catch up and a check in that I and share with you if you haven't already done so, and if you want to follow me and kind of enjoy the process and kind of learn with me. I hopefully will be like the tip of the spear for you to kind of show you what I'm learning as I go and share that with you. And then hopefully it will be guiding you down a path to where eventually you're going to have more options. The whole idea is so that you have more options in the idea of a changing terrain. We're in a terrain where everything is going through transition. It's a frequency change. It's hopefully an awareness change. There's kind of an awareness that's changing right now, and I know I've kind of been sharing a lot of stuff that people probably look at it and they're just having shell shock. Maybe I've always kind of referred to myself as a shock therapist because it seems that what is always interesting to me because I'm learning about it, and when I learn about it, it's kind of shock to my system. And so then I get excited about it. I don't really do this for the purpose of horrifying people, but it always seems to have that effect on the people around me, and it's kind of taught me to realize that I have to kind of almost digest, alchemize. I have to be in the energy of temperance, and I kind of have to hold in my thoughts and prayers about the experience I'm having. I have a little more age. Wisdom. I have a little more wisdom from all the different lifetimes that I've been here, and things that I've always wanted to do. Every lifetime, I've always had this desire to kind of serve others and help to reduce suffering. And those who know me personally, those who are in my life, they recognize that, if they're not completely horrified by the things that I like to talk about, they a lot of them, when after they relax around me, they can see that I'm always kind of really, I'm the nature of a person who always encourage people. I want people to grow, and I want people to I don't know. I want to see them happy and blessed. That's my kind of what I expect and hope. And when I see people struggling, of course, I try and do what I can to understand where they're coming from. It's not an easy thing, but I've grown to get used to it, I think. And there's so many out there. We can all look around and see people are struggling. And I have this ability. It was my son one time kind of I always have the relationship with my children where I kind of vent what's going on in my life. Sometimes it's too much for them, and I get great reflection. I've raised some amazing sons who are extremely wise, and they are like the head of whatever group they're in. They're always kind of at the cutting edge themselves, and always very active and always very loving, and it's kind of an amazing thing to see my four sons become wise, active, involved in their community, very much. Sometimes really as far as community, they're almost more involved. And I had a wonderful conversation yesterday with one of my sons, and I don't check in with him that often. I may hear from him, I don't know, about once every 3 months maybe. And it's always a delight to speak to them. And I was sharing the downloads that I've been trying to teach people about with him. And he's a very spiritual soul. Is the family of probably the most miracles of any family that I personally know. And it was so wonderful to have a catch up with him. And I was sharing with him my goals for financial sovereignty and the idea of becoming your own bank and creating your own system where you can have much more control over your money. Hopefully, a system that will still continue through a financial transition that the world's going through. And one of the things that he shared with me is he said that in the world of crypto, that most people and digital currency, he says that he doesn't know anybody who's doing it, and that he thinks that most people are just very afraid of it. And so I kind of shared with him the ideas that one thing that I'm working on is trying to jumpstart people into the idea of going ahead and taking that, because it is going to be a major part of the future, whether you trust it or don't trust it. I believe that for any of you listening, that if you don't trust it, I would say that it's going to be worse to be forced into something you don't trust, and then taking it, take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and actually decide that you need to not be afraid of it. You need to get into it, even if it's just an experiment for you, maybe a financial experiment. Doesn't take much funding. It can be, it's an amazing education to become, be ahead of the curve as far as, you may not be the pioneer, but you may be the pioneer in your group. You may be the pioneer that becomes the center of a group of people who you then turn around and teach. And that's kind of part of the, Pied Piper, the Johnny Appleseed concept of being someone who got information and tempered it and alchemized it, and then decided that it's worth giving a go just because you should want to reduce the things that scare you. You should go right after things that are maybe at first terrifying, and then the more you kind of focus on what's so terrifying about it, and you start to go at each little point, each little thing about it that terrifies you. And so I'm not going to fill in the blanks for you, but I have to say that I went from a position where most of my assets, most of the wealth that I had was in physical silver. I had invested considerably in silver, physical silver. And it was because I didn't trust the digital world at all. I don't know how to get to a point where you completely can trust it, but I have to say that you're not going to get there unless you start to take the time to learn about it. The more you learn, the less untrusting you will be. And the central reason for it is because if we think about the idea of taking our personal energy, and that we create with our body, and the way we get compensated in this life, which then pays our bills and settles with other people in our life, other contracts or agreements, right? When we exchange between people, whether you're selling your used car or whether you're selling your time or wisdom in some way for compensation, it's going to go through a monetary system of some kind. And up until now, well, we can look back in history, we can understand the history, we can learn the history very easily, plenty of information on it, we can learn the history of currency, and anything from, as I've heard people say, seashells, to, or beads, or, it used to be that there was like a clay tablet with a head of Caesar or something on it, right? And then that became maybe something stamped in copper or bronze, and then maybe something stamped in silver or gold became like the first physical currency. And the real issue is we're trying to figure out how to take this energy that we produce with our body, and we're trying to put it into something that we're able to use in transactions all over the world. Not just, it can start off with your community. It can start off with being able to transact in the environment that you're in. But we're going to a place, whether you participate or not, we're going to a place where transactions are going to be global, or they can be. We'll have the ability to be global. And when it comes to things like clay beads with a imprint on them as a currency, or a paper bill, which is basically what they call fiat currency, or a gold coin, there are many things that we need to exchange over, right? There are things that we need to exchange, and in that field of transaction, you can't carry your wealth if it is in gold around the world. You can't. It's difficult to transact even in a paper currency, or even in a digital currency that involves banking. And so the whole beauty of what we're doing nowadays is we're changing that. This is all changing, and it's going to become something that is created and used in a global scale, in a global landscape, and doesn't have to be. The beauty of what I was shown is that it doesn't really matter whether it is on a single piece of property where a community decides to cohabitate and share, a commune of some kind. It doesn't matter whether it's on the scale there where you are able to transact within a small community, or whether you're going to be transacting across the globe. It's difficult to do when you're tied to more physical things like gold, silver, or clay, and it's more easily done in a more digital, on the computer system, like even at the current banking. And it's going to become even more fluid, because the banking system still is actually kind of slow and cumbersome, especially if there's multiple banks involved. And so the beauty of what I was shown, and I'm still doing the learning and still doing the research, is that this is something that no matter how you choose or propose to transact, or how large or small your community is, this is a way of transferring your energy into something that doesn't need to actually go through a bank. It can actually go through an app, and you can transact with people all over the globe through an app. And it can be done literally in relatively short time when you consider what it's like. It can also be done 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't have to wait for the bank to open to do a transfer. And so what I've been proposing is for people to try and become experimental, social experiment, financial experiment, educational experiment, and try and take the step to get used to this system, because it's going to be part of our future, more than likely. And whether you're just going to a swap meet and swapping items that are used or found or created, or whether you're doing something through something like Amazon or any other type of website, you can eventually get to a point where it's all going to be done in a currency of your choice, And it could even be, you can even, at this time, it's become available for us to create our own currency. And so you could actually get into a place where you actually create the currency. You are actually kind of the general manager of the currency. That currency is exchangeable and sellable to others. And it's also good for transaction of your own personal energy into someone else's pocket. So you can take your personal energy, and you can get compensated with a currency that you create, and store it, and you can convince others of the idea of it, and get them to where they're interested in also using a currency that is agreed upon. And it's really no different than transacting between countries and the different currencies between countries. You can be a neighbor with somebody, and you can agree on a currency that isn't widely used, and then develop your market. You can develop the people in your community. The community could be global, or it could be a city block, and you have the choice of including and inviting others to use a currency that you choose to use. That's outside of a paper dollar. It's outside of a currency agreed upon by a governance. And you would have then the freedom to be able to actually create your community that you transact with. And then you can be doing it in a way where there is a way to transact exactly the same way that you are now, only you'll be using a currency of your choice. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight, and it takes some time to develop, but there are ways that you can benefit also from widening the parameters of your community, widening the boundaries of your community. And it can be completely up to you to choose who is in your community. And so I just am really excited to see some of the people who have been listening to my videos have decided that they want to take this step, and they want to. They've let me know that they're already in stage one, where they've got their own account, and they've actually learned how to move money into that account, and they're about to take the step into the learning process of how to take money and move it, take this money and turn it into a transaction that they can either do with themselves or with as an associate or a friend. And this is part of the second stage, really, of embracing the future currency that we're all going to be using, or the future method of banking that we're all going to be using as we go forward. Anyway, I wanted to take a little moment and kind of do a catch up with people, and hope everybody out there is doing amazing. And I encourage you to take a step into the idea of possibly, if you haven't already, embracing the idea and getting yourself started on learning how the system works. Even if you don't decide to use it, it's worth your education to become familiar with it. And then also, one of the downloads I had this recently was the idea of even considering the idea of if you can do this as a gift for like grandchildren or children, or people. You can actually take the moment to create. If you go into the point of creating a coin, even if you learn how to make your own crypto, you can actually make for a grandchild or a son or daughter. You can help them make their own coin, and then you can teach them how to do that, so that you're kind of expanding the knowledge of these people that are in your life. So that was a download that I received recently, and I've been pondering the idea of expanding my world that way and sharing with people in my family that way. So I haven't put it into use. I've got a lot to keep me busy at this time. And so one step at a time. And so I wanted to encourage you all to consider all these ideas. And I hope you're doing well. And I wanted to say blessings to you all.